Hi, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. As you can see from this title, we're looking at Floral Curios and we're going to make a card and tag, a matching tag. And that's from the Sentimentally Yours collection. And the collection itself, we're going to be using the Corsage Collage, but I'll just take you through the sets that there are. We've got the Posy Collage, and this one has pansies on it, and you've got the selection of flowers. The roses on this one are smaller than the one in the Corsage Collage that we're going to use, so there is a slight difference, but you can see from the hopefully see from it that you can mix and match across the different designs. To go with that one, you've also got the Posy corners, so you've got two different sizes of the corners, and you've got some extra kind of grungy bits and just to expand it if you want to, or do backgrounds. And then you've also got the Posy circles, so you've got the same designs with the pansies and the other flowers contained within two different sizes of circles, and you've got some like coffee rings or stains, and you've got that really useful splat, which is one of my favourite stamps. Then we've got the one that we're going to be using now, which is your Corsage Collage, and this has got bigger roses on it than with the Posy Collage, and you've got the daisies on this one as well. And then to match, you've got the corners, again two different sizes, and then you've got different added on extras. You've got kind of grungy lines, which are really useful to have. And then finally you've got the Corsage circles, and you've got different types of sort of coffee rings and the two different sizes of circles on there as well. So as I said, we're going to use this one. There is also the Smudged Sentiments, which we're going to be using, which is a really useful add-on set as well as Sentiments, as you'd expect. And you can find all of the products on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses. If you can't find them there, then you can go to honeypotcrafts.co.uk. So let's crack on. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, because we're doing freehand stamping, we're not going to use a stamping platform, and we're going to make sure that we've got enough ink on our stamp. So first of all, we're going to stamp it off onto a piece of card, just to kind of lubricate the stamp, if you like, and we're going to be able to use this as well. So if a little bit of it goes wrong, that's absolutely fine. Because whatever we're doing, we can do in different sizes. So this is going to go onto an A6 block, and you will find Sentimentally Yours blocks on the website as well. Just go to the brand section, click on that, and pull down Sentimentally Yours, and you'll find all the little subsections to do with them there. And this is Nocturne Versifying Clair, which is the black. Do use a really good ink pad. Nice to have a juicy one if you're going to stamp freehand, which a new or re-inked Versifying Clair is. You can also use regular Versifying. If you're going to be colouring with alcohol markers, use your Mementos and archival ink pad. Just be aware, it's a very good detail ink pad, but it does dry very, very quickly, so you've got to be super speedy on that. You can see I'm inking it within an inch of its life because I want a good impression if I can get one. And this is the super smooth watercolour card from Sentimentally Yours. I'm not worried about the fact that I've gone a little bit outside of the page there. Give your ink a chance to settle in. I think that's something something that we're all kind of eager to see how we've stamped, and we all take it off of the card a bit too quick. And you need the especially with watercolour cards, you need, because it kind of absorbs ink really quickly, you need a chance to absorb as much ink as possible. So let's see how that is. And it's stamped absolutely beautifully, as you'd expect. So let's now move to our piece that we want to actually work on. And this is again a piece of watercolour card, and it measures 8¼ by 8¼ inches by 3 1/8. So it's going to be, we're going to make a tall, slim card. It's a bit bigger than a DL. And I think what we'll do first of all, actually, thinking about it, is we actually stamp our sentiment first and then we'll stamp around it. So in my original, I stamped the sentiment second and I had a bigger gap than I actually wanted. So these are your smudged sentiments. They're not really smudged, but what it's got a little splat at the ends of the kind of lines on the sentiment, and you've got the little bit of there's little dots on there as well. Really like these. They're all A6 sets, so they're a little bit, you know, less expensive. So I am going to stamp this off first because I haven't stamped this for a little while, just to check that we're nice and inked. Should be okay. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Let's see if we can do it perfect the second time. It's always less perfect the second time. Might be at an angle as well. If you're uncomfortable about stamping your sentiment like this freehand, then do go into your stamping platform. Want it middle-ish. So that's middle-ish. Yeah. Okay, so that's our sentiment all done and dusted. Where did I put my other bits? There we go. Out of the way. And we go back to our Corsage Collage. Now you've got choices really with this, because you've got an area where you've got a daisy, or you've got the area where you've got less. You've only got 2 daisies, and you've got that kind of rose there. It depends on how you want it. The daisies are actually my favourite, so I'm going to go for looking at the daisies, and we're only going to stamp about half of the image. I need to turn it around so I know where I'm going. So we're going to start, I think, about there. Good old press. You can do this sort of thing if you're doing a channel card as well. So if you wanted to recess the decorative part and then raise with foam pads another area above and below, you could do that, and you could decorate a background and put a border die on it. So you could actually kind of make it into a tall card rather than a long wide one. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so there's part of our image going on there. And now we're going to ink up again, the same area. And we're going to go for the other side. Let's see if we can. I don't mind going over a little bit. Let's have it like that. Okay, like so. So we can see that we've got less of this design over here and more of it there. So to make it even, obviously if I'd have done it slap bang in the middle, we'd have been fine. What I'll do is I'll start here, and so we have a wider area here, and then we'll have a smaller area here, so that it'll be symmetrical going diagonally. Reminds me of a Harry Potter quote, that, doesn't it? It does me anyway. Right, so we're still inking up the area that's got the daisies on the side. Obviously, I say if you want more of the kind, I don't know if it's like a cherry blossom. If you want that one, which is that one there, then have the stamp the other way around. But it's a good idea to have it looking the same all the way around. And you can use this with the posy collage as well, which is more pansies. So let's see. I'm not worried about the splats overlapping, that's absolutely fine. Let's go for there, I think. Don't rush, but whatever you do, don't put your stamp down before you're ready. And if you can do this in the stamping platform, but just remember that your stamp will be dirty, so use a piece of acetate while you're lining up where you want the stamp to go, and then you won't have ink where you don't want it. Just making sure I get a good impression. Okay, happy with that. I might be happier with this one than I was with my original, but that's always the way, isn't it? You always learn from what you do first of all. It'll never actually be exactly the same twice. If you don't like colouring in, I think it looks fabulous just black and white. Right, so this is the last one of this type. So now we're going to bring in, that's going to go over there. Like so, I think. This one might be a bit higher up than the other one. I think, in fact, it is. But that doesn't matter. Nobody's going to measure it for being exactly symmetrical. Okay. So there's our background. Started, not completely finished, because we've got an area here and a bigger area here to kind of fill in. So what we can do for that is we can actually add in an extra daisy from this side. And I will show you the one I did originally so you can see the difference. So we're going to have this daisy coming in about there, and we'll find that we've got more of this particular stamp on the other side. Just fills it in, it fills in the gaps. So we can get a little bit more on here. So we've got a nice busy background there. And that's all come from the one stamp, obviously a sentiment as well, but the one stamp. So we can add to this a little bit if we're not 100% happy, which I am actually, I am pretty happy. But sometimes it's nice where you've got gaps here to add in something extra. And you've got, on the posy circles, you've got a splat. I really like this splat. I like splats. Splats are really useful. You know, if you've made a mess with a dirty fingerprint, splats are your best friend. This is one of the little indigo blue. I can't remember what they're called actually. Little acrylic blocks. They've got a special name. I can't remember it at the moment. Right, so we're going to have a splat. And we're going to have a splat to fill in a little bit of an area there and a little bit of an area here, I think. We might even bring some on the other side. Splat. Because that's not as dark as I'd like it there. So let's splat over that there. And that's hidden, that not so good bit of stamping there. See, it's the same splat as what is on the stamp. So you could go into your what are they called? Yeah, you could go into your notebook botanicals, and you could use some of the splats in here, but they're not exactly the same splats. But you can absolutely do that. Let's have one there. I like splats. Let's go for another two. bring in on there where my daisies have overlapped. So that now you can't tell here that I've overlapped the daisy. You can there, but you can't tell there, which is fine. And we'll have one on the other side as well somewhere. Where should we have it here? Let's have it there. Splats are definitely your best friend. I love them. Actually, I'm pretty happy with that. I will just show you, there is, actually, let's just put that out of the way. Wait a minute, on here, this is such a useful set, your Notebook Botanicals Notebook Textures. So this is actually from the Notebook Botanicals release, as it says there. So these are all A5 sets, but within this you've got lots of different ways that you can add to it. So you can definitely add these to your Floral Curios and actually expand them out. Again, there's splats in here, there's stars. This one is the one that I'm going to use. Obviously, it seems a little bit, you know, why would I want you to buy an A5 stamp set just for one stamp? Well, you know, obviously you can use lots of different stamp sets, and I will try and do some other, lots of different stamps on there, and I will try and do some other videos with that. But just to add a little bit of extra, because we can, let's just add this splat here. It's like a dot, it's not really a splat. It kind of finishes it off a little bit. And we'll add another one just down here. Just the two. I think that's well and truly finished now. So that's all our stamping done. So if you wanted to, you could just add this to your card. So obviously matte and layer it. We are going to do some colouring in, but let me just show you. Matte and layered. That would be a rather lovely card, I think. So you could just stop there. You don't have to do any colouring in at all. I think it's rather wonderful as it is. Okay, but obviously I want to show you a little bit of colouring in because I can. I really like that. It's a shame to colour it in, to be honest, but we're going to do some colouring. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We're bringing this here, so instead of colouring in that, I'm going to leave that as it is, and I'm going to stick it together in a little while after we've finished, and then it'll be on the thumbnail at the beginning of the video when it's live, so you'll be able to see what it looks like coloured in and not coloured in. So instead of colouring that in, because I think that that's just perfect as it is, let's go on to this and do that colouring in on our first impression that we did, just so you can see the colouring in that I've done on the one I've already finished. So we are going to use Watercolour Blending Brush Pens. Now I have actually, because I started to get all my pens in a bit of a mess, I have actually sorted them all into colour order. So they are all sorted. I mean, this says set 3 on it, but it's not. So you can see I've got my blues and my reds in there. So there are 4 sets in the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens, and I've been going on mine for 3 years. I think it's 3 years. Yeah, 3 years this month, or 3 years last month. So and I think one of my browns is getting a little bit running out, but you know, that's a long time. So from my first one. So these are the ones that I've pulled out. And you can see I've done a little swatch there, so I know what I'm dealing with. So first of all, we've got 2 oranges. So I've got a light orange, which I'll just check is that one. So we're going to do the daisies with this one. So I just do the bigger daisy, and you can see that they've got, like I say, this is like they do move better on the watercolor card all watercolours would move better on watercolour card. You can, I know Phil likes to watercolour onto his pure white card. I don't like doing that, but we always have to disagree. So it's entirely up to you. With that one, it's better if you kind of pick the colour. With the pure white, it's better if you pick the colour up and add it from your block or from your palette. But here, I'm going direct, first of all, with the lighter of the two. It's sort of it's like an orangey yellow, this one, for the daisies. Obviously, you can do whatever colour you want to. There's lots of different techniques. You can absolutely, you know, scribble some pen up, pick it up, and with your water brush and colour in. But what we're going to do now is take the darker one, and I'm just going to follow the kind of lines that there are in here to add a little bit more depth. See, I'm not being careful. I'm not a colourist. I'm not good at doing shading and stuff like that. But, you know, I figure it looks okay. So now we're going back to the lighter one. And now we're going to blend those two colours in, because they blend with each other. See, I'm not even careful getting them in and outside of the lines. And then this will give us some darker areas and some lighter areas as well. Obviously, depending on what you use, you'll get different effects. Different, you know, if you use colours that are further apart, you're going to get more of a difference. So there's our daisy. Okay, happy with that. Obviously, you can go on again. If you're not happy with it, you just go on again and again and again. For the centres of the daisy, what I've done is I've just taken a brown, and where there's more of the dots, done more of the brown, and then with my water brush I just move that colour around, but not so much where the dots are, so you can keep a little bit of shade where the more dots are. Does that make sense? Do remember to just clean off the nib of your water brush before you go on to anything else. So then we've got the so it's like a cherry blossom, and I've done this one in one of the purples. This is the lightest of the purples. So again, just very quickly go onto the veins, and I've actually gone round the actual flower as well. Like so. It's a good idea if you've used a water brush to not do the adjacent flower to where you've just wet the card. Give the card a chance to dry out. This super smooth watercolour card from Sentimentally does actually dry out quite quickly, but it will take a lot of water, so if you're doing your background techniques, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Then taking the same old water brush, just a little bit in the centre, and then working out and just scrubbing really with the water brush. So we just picking up some of the colour from the edges and from where we've done the kind of veiny bit. I'm not going to go into the solid colour at the bottom because that's going to be more shady. That's all I'm doing with that. Not difficult at all. It's watercolour. Really, there's no right or wrong with watercolour at all. It's the most forgiving of mediums to use. Then we've got a pink. So we're going to do the same thing with the rose. I'm going to just add a little bit of colour to the centre of the rose, willy-nilly. And then do the same kind of thing. That's going to be more colourful there. So you can actually do this quite quickly. And I do tend to do the same kind of techniques. so. I'm only going to do one rose, I'm not going to do the two. And obviously where it's underneath, just colour all that in. Like that. And exactly the same thing, don't want that. Make sure your brush is going and it's clean. And then get it moving. Make sure you've not got hard lines where you've drawn that colour in. And there's your rose. Easy peasy. And then finally you've got a leaf, and I love this kind of olive green colour. Let's do these here. So again, for this one, I'm just going to follow the lines of the leaves over that splat. The veins. And do the same thing. You can also blend the two colours together. So you can have, like, at the bottom we could have had a darker green, and then I could have brought the lighter green in and either watercoloured or just blended them together like I did with the daisy. And there's your leaves. Obviously we could go back in again and just reinforce the veins if we wanted to. You really should wait for it to dry. It's just being absorbed, but there we go. So that's what I've done. Really simple colouring in with the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens. My all-time favourite colouring in medium because it's so forgiving. So I've coloured in my piece here. So same colours, same technique as before, but as I said before, what I did was I stamped the borders first and then put the sentiment in, so there's more of a gap. I do prefer this second one that I've done. I do prefer that with it being closer together, and you've got more of the flowers as well, but they're different but both lovely. Let's put them down there so you can see them both. Different but both lovely, they both work. So we're going to stick this one onto a card. I'll stick the other one onto a card afterwards. Before we do that, I'm going to just add a little bit of Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide just around the edges, just to finish that off so it's not quite as abrupt an end. With the black one, I'll just leave it as is. The uncoloured one, I'll just leave that as is. Just on a sponge. I haven't picked any up because there's some left on over from when I've used it before, and that just finishes it off. And we'll glue this onto a piece of Elegant Ebony card. Obviously I'm not going to make a proper card because I don't tend to make proper cards, but it would be a tall slimline card. So it's 9 by, let's think, 9 by something or other. I'll tell you in a minute. As soon as you pop it on black card, it pops. I'll press, and then I think what we'll do is we'll pop it on a little bit of 1mm foam tape. So I use the Woodware one, which should be in stock on our website. Anything that isn't in stock, here we are, juliewattscrafts.co.uk. Just click on the email when available button and you'll be notified as soon as stuff's back in stock. The products that are in the clearance and the pre-love section, they don't ever get replenished unless I suddenly find some. You won't be notified if that comes back in. You get a bit of fingernail in it then. Right, so let's put this on our card. So obviously you can slim this down. What you could do also is, if you've got some of the DL dies from Sentimentally Yours, so this one here, the biggest one, it's about that size. So you could actually cut that out and have that nice debossed edge to it. Obviously you can go down a bit and you can make it so it's smaller. You could pop a frame in here as well, so you could cut yourself a small frame and have that, so you've got part of the design on the outside and you've got a frame on the inside. You can, of course, if you wanted to, pop your sentiment, that's a little bit small, pop your sentiment into onto a die as well, especially if you've messed it up. So, you know, there's lots of things that you can do. You don't have to just do it flat and plain if you want to add your dies. Obviously, as soon as you pop a die on a card, especially if you're, shouldn't have done that, especially if you sell them, then that's going to give you, it's going to be worth more. You're going to get a bigger price for it if it's got a die on it. I don't know why, but that's generally the case. It does look a little bit more professional, and it takes away the problem of always lining things up and getting them perfectly. So let's pop this, check it straight ish. So there we are, that's all done. And what I've also done as well is, as a little gift, so you've got your card there, and as a little gift I've also with this one, with this extra one, I've created a gift tag as well. So you've got a card and a gift tag to match. Now I was going to tell you the size of this before we sign off, and I must have somewhere my ruler, which I can't actually see, so I'll measure it on my trimmer. I know it's 9, I know that. Yeah, 9 by 4.5, that's what it is. And the tag here is from the Studio Lights. It's from the Oriental Tags die set, and I've used the middle size one. No, that one. It's the 4th smallest. This one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 smallest. So obviously you could go smaller if you wanted to. So you could actually do. That's the wrong one. You could actually do a much smaller tag. So if you've messed any of that stamping up, you can move around. And these make great bookmarks. My daughter's got quite a few of these, not this design, but with the fairy hug stamps. So it's just a nice little gift set, isn't it? So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'll just show you, before we just sign off, a few more samples that I've made with the Floral Curios collection. So this one uses the corsage corners, and you can see you can make it into a circular design just by putting the pieces of pie together, basically. That's using a stamping platform to do that, and one of the extra stamps there as a corner. Then this one is using the posy circles, and not as much colouring to do, and some of the extras in the background there. And then finally I've got this one. This is using the stamp that we've just used, Corsage Collage, and the corsage corners there as well in the background. Same kind of colouring techniques, but you can see it works. It's absolutely fine. So thank you for watching, and please do check out my other videos on my YouTube channel, and if you're not already subscribing, would be wonderful if you did. Thanks for watching. Bye.